In this video game commentary, we're going to be talking about DLC, otherwise known as downloadable content. And specifically with regards to Black Ops 3, I'm more so talking about the weapons in supply drops. And I've been kind of avoiding this topic for a little while because I know that it is a rather touchy subject in terms of the Call of Duty community, and the bigger reason why I didn't want to cover this was because I kind of knew the kind of gameplay I would have to put in the background for such a commentary. But with all that aside, let's get into this video. What is going on YouTube? King Kevin here with some Black Ops 3 TDM gameplay on the map Fringe. So the gameplay you're seeing right now is me using the FFAR, again I got that from a rare supply drop, along with the NX Shadow Claws as my secondary weapon. So if you guys were to go down the list of weapon classes that are available in Black Ops 3 or typically any Call of Duty games like assault rifles, SMGs, LMGs, shotguns, snipers, pistols, launchers, things like that, you would actually find a DLC weapon, if not multiple DLC weapons, that are available in Black Ops 3 for those categories. And of course, as you get these supply drop weapons, you are able to use them as if they were, in their regular classes. So for example, the FFAR that I'm using in this particular gameplay can be used as an assault rifle, although there are some drawbacks. And that's something I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about today, because some people think that DLC weapons, especially in Black Ops 3, are pay to win. And what pay to win means basically that if you were to, for example, spend all the money that you want on COD points and buy all these supply drops instead of earning them through crypto keys, that you would eventually get all the weapons and you would be essentially winning all these games because these guns are quote unquote overpowered. And that's something I wanted to talk about today, and that's something that is actually a good example that is shown here, not because I do it necessarily, but because it is done to me. So another reason why I chose this specific gameplay, even though it's not quite as entertaining as I would like it to be, is because I'm using DLC weapons exclusively, and I actually get killed by some DLC weapons at the same time. So a common thought about DLC weapons, especially in Black Ops 3, is that they might be overpowered. And I'm not going to touch on that just yet, but a lot of people think that they also are pay to win, meaning that if you spent all of your money or a lot of money on COD points and bought all these supply drops just based on the law of large numbers and probabilities, you would likely get a decent handful of DLC weapons, and if you spend enough money, eventually you will acquire all of them. And because of that, and because these people think that all these DLC weapons are overpowered, they think that, oh, these people are essentially paying money to win the game, hence pay to win. But one thing people tend to forget is the fact that these weapons are in fact balanced to an extent. And for example, I am using the FFAR, which is the FAMAS from Black Ops 1, which was and still is an assault rifle. So you would think that it would excel at the medium range and that it would have a fairly large or fairly big damage profile. However, that tends to not be the case, and the way that I actually play the FFAR is I actually pretend that it's an SMG. It has a relatively fast fire rate, and I think the damage is a little bit weak for an assault rifle. And the fact is that it burns through ammo so quickly, just like an SMG, but you have the disadvantage that it moves like an assault rifle, as in your character has a much slower movement speed because it is technically an assault rifle. And even though I enjoy using the FFAR, I actually enjoy using it on smaller maps. I decided to use it on Fringe here just because it was the next map in the rotation, and it happened to maybe get a kill at a slightly longer range. But in general, I don't like the feel of it. There are better assault rifles in the game. I extremely like the Man of War, even though that has a very, very slow fire rate compared to the FFAR. It just feels a lot better to handle, and I think a lot of you guys would agree with that if you have tried out the FFAR, maybe picked it up. So yes, even though a lot of the DLC weapons do have their balancing factors, there are some weapons that I think could have been balanced a little bit better, and I think a lot of you guys will agree with me if you've played Black Ops 3 or if you guys even have these DLC weapons. For example, you guys saw earlier in this video already that I got killed by someone with the Marshall 16s twice. And I actually ended up picking up the Marshall 16 later and then killing a couple people before I got killed myself. And yes, every time I die to a Marshall, I get kind of frustrated because it is a pocket shotgun. But the balancing factor is that every time you shoot, you have to reload, and it takes a decent while to reload unless you're dual wielding. And in which case, you basically have to shoot in the general direction of the person once or twice to be able to kill them. And most of the time, you're going to be able to kill them no problem. That and, for example, the DIY-11 Innovator, I think, is what the new gun is called. It's an SMG that was released as basically a nail gun, but it's able to shoot incredibly far, incredibly fast, and it has a very, very high damage profile if it hits you. So you can cross-map, and I have been cross-mapped by people who have this gun. And I actually really wanted to try it out because it seems like a VMP on steroids. So yes, while there are some DLC weapons that I think could be toned down a little bit, there are ones that even if they were toned down, you can't really do much to avoid them. And I'm talking about the ones that are more so in the special category in Black Ops 3, and those will be the NX Shadow Claws I'm showing here as my secondary, along with the Tron gun, as some people call it, otherwise known as the DI3 Sector, which if you guys don't know how that one works, it basically shoots an energy disc that bounces around a lot of times, travels very fast, and if you're standing in its pathway or anywhere near where it's bouncing, you will basically die instantly. And it's very common for people, for example, to not only spray the Shadow Claws and hope that you get one of the 6 bolts to hit someone, which, as you can clearly see in this video, I'm absolutely terrible at doing, but for the DI3 Sector, you can basically shoot that into any room or any enclosed area, and you will likely get a hit or two. And there's actually a game where I picked one up and I just kind of fired one down a hallway and I killed 2 people like instantly. I didn't even know they were there. They were actually around the corner. So I kind of have problems with that sort of gun where you can just kind of aimlessly spray it and you can get some kills almost guaranteed. Now, I say that the Shadow Claws are in that category, and you guys clearly see how much of a challenge I have with the Shadow Claws. But the Shadow Claws, in my opinion, are a little bit more special because not only are they insta-kill, as in 1 bolt will kill an enemy, but you can also put a tri-bolt attachment, as in you shoot 3 bolts at once. Or you can put a bayonet on front of it. So you basically have a knife that can stab people really fast. You have a insta-kill bolt or a tri-bolt. And those things are very overpowered if you know how to use them properly. And of course, any gun can be very powerful if you know how to use it properly. But me playing with the Shadow Claws and me being killed by the Shadow Claws several times, I know how annoying it can be. There is something about DLC weapons that do appeal to people, as in that it's an addition to the game, but I think there should be a fairer way for people to acquire these weapons, and I actually think this is something that Infinite Warfare has done very well. When people first heard that Infinite Warfare was going to introduce weapon variants, everyone was kind of groaning and moaning because they're like, we don't want weapon variants because it just means that people will get lucky in supply drops and they can get it or whatever. But I like the way that Infinite Warfare has done it, where you can collect salvage over the course of time and then build your way or save up to be able to get a certain variant of a certain gun. That way you are able to make a more, I guess, informed or more selective choice of what weapon you want that maybe not everyone else has, but has the equal opportunity to be able to get it. So I think the system that Infinite Warfare is doing, at least with the current weapon variants, is a good idea in a way that future DLC should be done. So that will do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about DLC weapons and the whole supply drop system in the comments below. I know it's a rather heated argument and heated discussion, but most people tend to side on the fact that they are kind of not a good thing in the community, and it really is just a way for developers to get a lot of money, which I do agree with to a very strong extent. But at the same time, if you do get it, you're lucky and you're fun. But again, let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you guys have any DLC weapons that you'd like in Black Ops 3. So that'll do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe for more content in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next video.